I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Friday, May the 25th, and everything's about this cattle on feed coming out today. And the gains that we are kind of expecting from the cattle on feed report have already been figured in. We've had kind of a banner week for the way things are as far as the board and on your cash feeder cattle market. So it's going to have to be pretty good to hold things. You look at the cattle on feed estimates from the analysts, and we'll find out what it is here on Friday afternoon. But 105 inventory for May the 1st, 91 or 90 and a half or 90.6, I guess to be exact, on your placements. That's going to be the big number. I think it could be lighter than that. Very few cattle moved onto feed in April. And then your marketing's 106. That's a big number. But if we can hold true to that, I think we can hold the gains that we've seen in our feeder cattle market this week. If we can't quite meet that measure, it's going to break back a little, because the gains that we've seen this week, I think, are largely due to friendly expectations of that cattle on feed report. It's sure not your fat cattle market. And look at the board. On Thursday there, June live cattle futures down $1.05, which they've been up all week, so you have to figure that we're going to take a little back. That's kind of the way things go with this commodity board. But down $1.05 on your June to end the day at 104.40, and we're getting pretty darn close to June, and it's not like on your feeder cattle contract. You can't juke and jive with that thing all the way up until the last week of the month. With just less than halfway through June, that kind of needs to be meeting up together. And August live cattle down $1.02 to end the day on Thursday at 101.77, flirting back with that $100 range there. August feeder cattle down a nickel at 143.30, and May just lining up with the cash market there. It only traded till noon and then went off the board up $1.50 at 136.40. Might have overshot there what the cash market is just a little. But your fat cattle trade through Wednesday, 2,100 head, and you know, that's nothing, absolutely nothing. We've seen just a little trickle of trade, mostly in Iowa. You know, I thought early in the week that we'd probably somewhere down around that $1.10. I think we've seen, well, I know we've seen some 109, 110. I think that may be for 2 to 4 weeks out. There was a few early week trade at 114. I think that was probably out front too. But we just don't have a clue what our spot cash fat cattle market's going to be. Haven't traded enough cattle. Haven't really seen any packers come out aggressive looking for cattle. We've seen a little bit of dress trade from 176 to 180. It's going to be very interesting to see if they trade hardly anything or how much they do trade, because like we've been talking, everybody sold so many cattle here 2 or 3 weeks ago for right now that these packers just have a plethora of cattle to pull from, and all the formulas to go through, and I'm not sure what the formula cattle are going to be priced off of if we don't get any more trade than we've had before. But they'll trade some cattle, a few anyway, and it'll be interesting to see what happens there on Friday. Box beef cutout values, you know, we sure saw them top out here last week, and now we're just kind of holding right in there in a holding pattern with good demand, mind you, but they've got the prices up there pretty good, and these packers are making a lot of money. Choice cutouts on Thursday afternoon, 229 even, down $1.08. Your selects were down just 11 cents at 204.93. Your slaughter, very aggressive slaughter, gonna have a bigger slaughter than last week if we can hold the big Saturday. But 479,000, that was up 5,000 from last week and up 10,000 from the same week a year ago. But it may be hard to have a big Saturday being it's on Memorial Day weekend. I mean, they've been pressing those employees pretty hard already, and they're really wanting to run those plants wide open, and a lot of your employees, you know, especially your ethnic employees, they like to spend time with their family. and they've probably got big plans this weekend, and if they can't get it off, they may end up being sick on Saturday. But your actual slaughter for the week ending May the 12th showed dressed steer weights at 848 pounds, just down 1 pound from the previous report. But look at your feeder cattle markets. Your real-time index on Beef Market Central late on Thursday, sitting at 133.99, up 45 cents from the close of Wednesday there. Let's look at some markets on Thursday. Farmers and Ranchers Livestock in Salina, Kansas had 2,300 head there. Feeder cattle there, look at this, 8 to 950 pound feeder steers and heifers, $5 to $8 higher. This has just been great. All of our mid and late week sales have just been sharply higher, and just all of a sudden these feedlots are wanting to get some cattle bought, and I think as much as anything because we just get into, when we get after Memorial Day, that Memorial Day is a Labor Day, and we'll see quite a bit of trade around the 4th of July, not during that week in the sales, but in the country. That's when you see a lot of those cattle sell out on your big grazing areas like the Flint Hills and the Osage. We'll have a big video or 2 or 3 right during that week, and so that's where all your trade will be, not so much in your on-site sale barns, but they just kind of wanted to finish strong, and your sale barns had a big push of cattle, and a lot of your sale barns are really going to get light during your summer months. And you talk to most sale barn owners and managers, and most of them kind of wish they didn't have it during that time of year. In fact, Salina, Kansas, they're going into their harvest break. I know you haven't seen any harvesters running right now, and probably not going to see a whole lot in the Southern Plains because the wheat year was just terrible. But they're already starting a harvest break, and they won't have any sales at Salina feeder cattle auctions until we get right up into that when those double stock cattle start coming off of those Flint Hill pastures, and then they'll start having some there. They might start running a few cows on their, or feeders on their cow and bull day, but we've seen that happen. But probably won't be having too many Thursday sales here for quite a while in Salina. Pratt, Kansas, again, kind of a weird deal there, but the market reporting on the federal state market reporters in south central Kansas has been really weak here this past week, and I'm not sure if their main man's gone there, but where's Rich Ruska when you need him? You know, he worked there for, I worked with Rich for several years, and Gary Mills before that, but they wouldn't have let this happen. But man, it's really fallen off. But Pratt, Kansas, your automated market report, 2,200 head plus there, sharply higher on your comparisons from last week. But look at the weighted averages and all your steer and heifer weight groups there. But look at those heifers, 455 head of heifers in the 7 to 800 pound weight group, average 767 at 129.62. Look at a couple of individual quotes there. In Bluegrass Stockyard South in Stanford, Kentucky, they continue to sell those put together load lots of yearlings really high up there. Those are the only green cattle really in the country this time of year. 53 head of 1,036 pound feeder steers in Stanford, Kentucky brought $122. That's pretty dang good. Let's look at Pratt, Kansas there. 66 head of 841 pound steers in Pratt bring $142.25. And that's your feeder flash for Friday.